What have we here? A visitor to our old cousin Erie's Dungeon of Delights. Why not relax, get comfy, and let me tell you tales of wonder and suspense. Today's story is a classic, a favorite from the pen of H.P Lovecraft. The horror comic dubbing Narration is Cool Air. If you enjoy this story at any point in time, please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into this chilling tale. You asked me to explain why I'm afraid of a draught of cool air. Why, I shiver more than others upon entering a cold room, and seem nauseated and repelled when the chill of the evening creeps through the heat of a mild autumn day. What I will do is relate to the most horrible circumstances I have encountered, and leave it to you to judge whether or not this forms a suitable explanation of my peculiarity. In the spring of 1923, I had secured some dreary and unprofitable magazine work in New York City. Being unable to pay any substantial rent, I began drifting from one cheap boarding house to another, till I came upon a house on West 14th Street, which disgusted me less than the others I had sampled. The room above mine was occupied by a Dr. Munoz, who, my Spanish landlady informed me was seeking a place for himself where he'd never be too warm or excited, and that he left his room always kept cold at all times of the day. Indeed, from the ceiling of my kitchen came a soft and constant, but never an annoying hum, from what was obviously a gasoline-powered engine on the floor above. Any question as to answer the substance used to cool so large an area was answered one day, when I was distracted from my work by a loud splattering on the floor. Ammonia. The dripping soon stopped, and I forgot all about Dr. Munoz and the strange happenings in the room above me, until I suffered a heart attack while writing in my room. Physicians had warned me of the dangers of these spells, and yet I knew there was no time to be lost. Somehow, I dragged myself up the stairs. Dr. Munoz!
I am Dr. Munoz. What?
The door opened, and a rush of cool air greeted me, and I fainted in his arms. I came to an antique sofa in a richly appointed apartment. The paintings, the sculptures, the mellow bookshelves all bespoke a gentleman's study, disturbingly out of place in the squalid boarding house.
Ah, you've come around. Are you feeling any better?
Why, yes, but it's so cold.
My apologies for your discomfort, but the low temperatures is absolutely necessary, I assure you. In fact, a high temperature would prove fatal. I was stricken with a rare disease 18 years ago. My regimen has been including constant cold. The cold, along with certain chemical baths, all remedies of my own device, have helped keep my maladies in absence. But it is my own will, the power of my mind, that accounts for the real miracle of my recovery. Willpower alone is sufficient to sustain life, even in the absence of certain organs. I may even someday teach you to live, or at least possess some kind of conscious existence, without any heart at all.
Dr. Munoz's skillful ministrations relieved, I dare say, effected a complete cure of my heart condition. I soon became a devotee of the gifted recluse. Many were the times where we talked long into the night of his research and experiments in mind over matter, suspended animation, and artificial preservation. But as the weeks passed, I observed with regret that my new friend's health was deteriorating. Come in. Forgive me for not rising. I feel so weak. We readjusted his cooling system to produce even lower temperatures, between 34 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. He developed a penchant for powerful Egyptian incense and spices till his room smelled like a pharaoh's palace. His attitude grew progressively grim and morbid. He spoke of death incessantly, and cursed these frigid rooms that were his prison. And when I delicately suggested his making some sort of funeral plans. Funeral plans? Arrangements for death? My good man, surely you jest. Me? Die? Oh,
Ha 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 ha! What a joke!
Yet his will and driving force waxed rather than waned, and he continued about his affairs with renewed purpose. But even so, his physical aspect belied the vigor of his actions, and he grew more and more pallid and skeletal with each passing day. Then, one night I was jarred from work by a frantic thumping on the floor above me. I rushed up the stairs and burst into his room. The pump, it stopped. It's getting warmer. Upon examining the machine, we discovered that one of the pistons were broken. It must be fixed, quickly. I left and returned with a mechanic from a nearby all-night garage. It's no use, it's gotta be replaced. Shops are closed till 8 in the morning. Oh God, no! Dr. Munoz raged and cursed violently for several hours, till a severe spasm sent him screaming, hands covering his eyes, into the bathroom. He appeared at the door moments later, his face tightly bandaged. Bring ice. Lots of it. Quickly. I raided the all-night drugstores and cafeterias for all the ice that they could spare. Leave it there. Bring me more. Each time I returned, the previous load had disappeared behind the locked bathroom door, and my hurried knockings and callings were answered with, More ice! At 8 o'clock I left to find a shop that carried a suitable replacement for the broken piston. On the corner of 8th Avenue, I found a man who, after much pleading and emptying of pockets, agreed to keep Dr. Munoz supplied of ice till I returned. My rage and frustrations reached demonic proportions as I watched the precious hours slip away in my endless search for the pump piston and workmen capable of installing it. It wasn't until 1:30 that I finally arrived at my boarding house. Upon opening the hall door, an indescribable stench seared my nostrils. I pushed my way past the tenants crowded on the stairwell, who told me that the man I had hired fled screaming after his second delivery of ice. I tried Dr. Munoz's door and found it locked from the inside. With the help of several strong men, I forced the door open and stepped into the room. There was no sound save a nameless sort of slow, thick dripping. From the open bathroom door led a dark, slimy trail. I followed it through the hall to the desk where it seemed to accumulate in a terrible little pool. On the desk was a letter scrawled by an awful blind hand, hideously smeared as though by the very claws that traced the last hurried words. Then, the trail led to the couch and ended unutterably. Sprawled out on the couch, there lie my dear friend Dr. Munoz, or at least what was left of his old decrepit body. Slime just oozing from his body as he melted, thawed, and resolved himself into a dew. All that remained were his final words on the letter. Is here no more ice? The man looked and ran away, warmer every minute, and the tissues could not last. I fancy you know what I said about the will, and the nerves and the preserved body after the organs ceased to work. It was a good theory, but it couldn't keep up indefinitely. There was a gradual deterioration that I had not foreseen. Dr. Torres knew, but the shock killed him. He couldn't stand what he had to do. He had to get me in a strange, dark place when he minded my letter and nursed me back. And the organs, they would never work again. It had to be done my way. Preservation. For you see, I died that time 18 years ago. Hey everyone! Thank you so much for watching. I'd like to give a major and special thanks to my Patreons. I couldn't do it without them. So thank you very much. James Abel, Banger Prophecy, and Moto Surf. I appreciate you all so much for your kind donation and for supporting the channel. But I'd also like to take the time to thank each and every one of you who always takes the time to comment on the video, like the video, and most importantly, watch the video. A storyteller is nothing without someone who is willing to listen, so I appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoy this format, don't forget to let me know in the comments below or suggest other stories that you'd like to hear. Thank you very much for listening, and remember, you are important and you matter. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.